Hello world, I'm a self-taught programmer and I've learned Python primarily through watching YouTube videos. And one of the reasons why I started my channel is because I don't learn well with very basic tutorials. I learn through real-world examples of programs and applications that are really being used. Now, as a YouTuber, I know that I could get way more success with some subscribers and views if I just did super basic tutorials like everyone else, but that's just not something I'm interested in. I like to complete a project and then show it off and then run through the code. So in this video, it'll be part one of me showing off how I plan to use the JSON library to create a real-world application that I'm using for personal use. And so in a previous video, I created this Drudge report, which is a popular news website. It looks very basic, but it's kind of advanced. And I made a clone using Flask and web scraping. But the program has to web scrape prior to the website showing. And it takes a long time, and that's not how a real website works. So what I would like to do is create a program that does the web scraping, right? That's separate, and it creates a JSON file for me, and I'll host this in part two on a website that allows Python programs to run. And then every day when I click the website, it just pulls from the JSON using requests and hopefully pops open the website automatically. So, but in this video, it'll just be JSON basics, so I can show you what I'm doing and you can learn JSON from it. So let's check it out. But first, welcome to the 195th video on my channel, where I'm building my own digital assistant named Shane, like Jarvis from the Iron Man movies and comics. Please consider subscribing, like this video, and leave a comment. So now let's check out what I created. So this is using Flask, and you can watch that video by clicking here. And I won't go into too much of it, but so let's run this program right now. And I'm not going to skip so you can see how long this takes. So this is a Flask server on my local machine. So let me click it. And as you can see, it's not going to load the website right away. It's going to actually go to all the websites and web scrape each one. One of them requires multiple pages to web scrape, and I put in a time in there, a 1 second delay. And so it's going to keep going through all the pages. And right now it takes about 2 minutes. But as I get more and more, now I have a small city that I'm in, so it pulls from maybe 4 or 5 public websites that have news. So it's not going to take too long, but as this thing gets more advanced and it scrolls through more financial information, it's going to take more time. So here you can see this is what I call the Financial Genome Project. This looks very similar to Drudge Report if you've seen it. And what it does is it goes through all these websites and looks for financial related terms that I have in this list right here. Let me show you. So anything that has this in the headline will show up. So I have some Bossier City, Louisiana articles here, some Shreveport articles here. It looks like I have it in the wrong place though, because this says Shreveport, which should be over here. And then I can go to these links right here and read the information. So I would like to prevent that. And so what we're going to do is right now is check out how I plan to use JSON. So like I said, you can watch the video on how I made this, but just a quick overview is it goes through all these websites, right? So here's a website, and then it goes and gets the title and the link. So this is the headline and the URL, and then it appends it to this article data dictionary that I have here. So this right here, BizMag articles. So that's one function. And then there's this Bossier Press, and it goes to this dictionary right here, article list. Right, same thing, the title and the link. And then it goes to this Shreveport website, but this time it uses a WebDriver to do that. And then it also appends each one to this right here, this article list as well, or a dictionary. And then I pass that to, if you're familiar with Flask, to this HTML here. But that has to do it every time I run it, right? So if you're kind of new to Python, these lists that I create each time are only as good, they only survive when I run the program. So if I've already terminated this program, so these lists of titles and links don't exist anymore. So I'd have to run the app again, and we would have to wait for the website to load, and that's not how a website works. And so what we're going to do is pass these titles and links to a JSON file that I will pull from the internet, from a third-party site, and then it'll already be ready for me every morning. And so let's take a look at that. So this is very basic and generic, and this is only to show you how JSON works. So first, you import JSON, and that is a standard library for Python, so you don't have to pip install it. And so let's say I'm going to create this list, right? And the city is going to be Bossier, and then the city will be Shreveport, and so I'll define the city in this program. But for now, let's just say the city is Bossier. And then we're going to create our list that I showed you before, and in it we're going to store the city, the title. Now this will be the actual headline that we web scrape, but for this purpose it'll just be title 1. And then the link, and this will be the actual URL for each one, but for now we just have link 1. And then this right here, this list simulates all the web scraping articles I got. So doing normal list, right? You can scroll through this list. Now let's print it real quick and see what it looks like. So for each article in this list, we're going to articles.append into here, article, just like I showed you that's happening into our website, right? So city, Bossier. So this is simulating the list that we have in our program. And now we can print this right here, articles. So let's print articles and see what it looks like. And as you can see, now we have a list that shows title 1, link 1. The city is Bossier, right up here. Link 2, title 2. And then that will say title 3, link 3. All right, but the program has ended already. So like I said before, this data no longer exists. And it would have to reload that. So what we can do is use the JSON library and save it to a JSON file. So with open sample.json, so we're going to create this file, this JSON file. We're going to W, which is to write to it, as F. F is just a throwaway variable in this case. Then we're going to json.dump. In other tutorials, you might see S, but that's where you dump it to a string. But right now, we're just going to do .dump because we're working with a JSON file. What are we going to dump into it? This article list, right? So it's going to run. It's going to append all of these to this article list. And then it's going to save it to this file that we have open. So let's check that out. So look in my project folder. There's no sample.json file. And now let's run it. All right. So it exited successfully, 0. And now we have a sample.json file. So let's open that up. And now you can see it has the correct color code that PyCharm uses for JSON files. So city Bossier, title 1, link 1, city Bossier, title 2, link 2. And this will be the headlines and the URLs of my files that I plan to use. Okay, so let's delete this again so I can show you. Well, no, let's pull it back up. And now let's comment that out. And now we're going to read that data, right? So really we don't even need any of this, right? So let's just comment all that out so you can see. So right now, all we're doing in this little program is import JSON with it open. So now we're going to open that sample.json, and now we have an R, which means to read it, as F, which is the throwaway variable. Data equals JSON.load. So in other tutorials, you might see a load S, and that loads it as a dictionary, a string dictionary, dictionary. But we're just going to load it now. And then we'll pass it F, so data equals JSON.load. And then we're going to print that data. So let's check that out. And there we go. So it read the file this time, right? None of this code executed. It went to this file, which will be on the third-party website I plan to do. And now it says city, Bossier, title 1, link 1, title 2, link 2. And that's really, that's how good JSON is. And that's how a lot of APIs work. So if you if you use APIs in work or in personal use, most of the times you'll see the output be a JSON file. And then you scroll through JSON. You can dump it, load it. You can dumps it or loads it with an S if you want to manipulate the strings and just iterate through it. And that's it. So I hope this helped you seeing a real world example of how JSON's used versus just a basic tutorial on it. If it did, please leave a comment and tell me you like these formats of videos. And thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.